Hey there. So, a lot of people have asked me, hey man, can you make a video showing how to make a cover letter? And the answer is yes, obviously, because A of all, you're on it, and B of all, cover letters are pretty simple. I think you'll agree with me after watching this video. This video is basically going to be pretty quick. It's going to show the format of a cover letter, which is actually just the format of a business letter. And then after that, we're going to go into detail and kind of fill this thing out so you can see what a properly written cover letter looks like. And then I'll maybe go over a couple extra things, but that's the basic format of the video. So for the cover letter, just like a business letter, you're going to put your address in the top left, and that's just like you would write it on a envelope that you're sending to your grandma. And then you're going to have an empty space and the date. So the date's on its own line there. And you typically want to spell the date out. You'll see that when we have this thing all filled out. You have another empty line, and then you have the name, title, company, and address of the person, typically a hiring manager, that you're sending the cover letter to. And then you've got another space, and then you've got an introduction line here, which is just dear whatever the hiring manager's name is. And then you've got another space, and we're using something called block formatting here. So I know you're probably used to seeing paragraphs indented on the left. You don't need to do that for a one-page letter. It's fine. Your first paragraph in the cover letter just is kind of a very high level. Who am I and why am I qualified? Very brief, and it's also, where did I see the job posting, where I came across it. And then you're really going to do one or two paragraphs, and it depends, how you want to write the thing, but typically you have one or two paragraphs that cover a little bit more detail or maybe specific projects or things you're proud of from your professional experience, or maybe more cumulative things that aren't specific to individual jobs but are skills that you've gained or learned or mastered over the years. And then you want to explain, that's what this second paragraph here is. Again, you can combine them, but you want to explain how you can apply those skills to the company that you're applying to and how you can use those skills to help them grow. And we'll go into more detail on that later. And then, of course, last but not least, you do a simple closing statement, which kind of reiterates, hey, I'm awesome, and hey, you should probably talk to me. And then you want to do, regards or sincerely or whichever closing statement you like. And then you want to add about 4 spaces or so. And that's just so that when you print this thing off, you can sign there. And then you put your name at the very bottom. So we'll go through this bit by bit now and fill in the information and kind of talk about it in a little more detail. So you can see here I've filled out an address, and it just uses the standard template that you would use anywhere else on an envelope, a letter, wherever. Now I think that it's 2015, maybe later when you're watching this, and the easiest way to get in contact with someone is probably their email or cell phone. So you have the option of adding that below here. The format gods aren't going to send lightning down and kill you. It's up to you. So you can see here, I've written out the date. I like to spell out the full month, put a space, and then the day, comma, space, the year. So you can see here in this block for the hiring manager, I've put the hiring manager's name, the hiring manager's title, which is conveniently hiring manager. But if you're applying to a smaller company or even a startup, you might be applying to the COO or to the CEO or even to the CTO, depending on your job position. But you just want to put the person's title right here, and then the name of the company and the address of the company. All right, so you can see I've put in the Dear Ron Swanson. That's the introductory line, and I've also filled out this first paragraph here just to kind of show you what it looks like. So again, this is a brief introduction. You say who you are. So it says I'm Joe Dirte, and it says which position you're applying for and where you found out about it. This could be from a certain website, from a newspaper, from a friend. That's a good way to get in at a company. Just make sure they like your friend at the company, because that kind of gets you a foot in the door. And then you'd say, what education background you have. So here I've put the degree title and maybe how many years of experience you have in that position. Or if you haven't worked in that position before, but you've been in that industry for a while, you can put, I have this many years of experience in the industry, and that might help you a little bit more. Don't forget, you don't need to go into super detail because you're going to later in these following paragraphs. But then I like to close with a statement that says, hey, I'm going to tell you why I think I'm a good fit. And you want to reiterate which position you're applying for. So I did that here. I said front-end developer position, and I just reiterated the corporation name in there just to show them that this is a personalized cover letter. So you can see here in the second paragraph, I've gone a little bit more into detail about what I've done. Now you don't want to get technical in a cover letter. Oftentimes a cover letter is first going to go to a hiring manager, and that hiring manager is going to look at it, and if you have a lot of jargon and a lot of technical terms, they're probably not going to know what you're talking about. But if you kind of touch on the basic things, like here it says I've built static websites and in-depth web apps, that's not too deep. But if I were to go into the specific frameworks that I've used, the specific languages that I've mastered or implemented, that would probably be information overload for a hiring manager. But you can see that I put that information in there. I also put in the fact that I've worked in a Scrum development in that method for X number of years, and that I'm comfortable working in a fast-paced environment. These are the types of lines you want to throw in if they're specific about it in the job posting. So if they say something about, must be comfortable with fast-paced working environment with constant change, you want to put in examples, not detailed specific examples, but kind of high level like this one, that you can handle that. It's the type of stuff that doesn't get expanded upon in a resume, but again, not expanded to the extent you would do in an interview. So in an interview, you want to have a couple, tricks up your sleeve for things you don't cover here and you don't cover in the resume in detail. So you want to be able to expand upon those in an interview to kind of brag about yourself. Because if you're not bragging about yourself, someone else is bragging about themselves, and they're probably going to get the job, unless they're too cocky, because some people don't like that. So next, all right, so you can see here I've made the third paragraph. Again, this can be part of the previous paragraph. But what this is basically doing is having some kind of statement that says you've been following the company or you have read up on the company, you've done your research. They want to know that you are just as interested in this position and this company and its goals as they are in finding some resources to help them achieve their goals. So I put this sentence in here that says, I recently read that ABC Corporation is planning to expand into building web applications. So what you want to do is kind of highlight your skills and show how you think your skills can help you achieve the goals that the company you're applying to has in mind. And then here I put a little line about, basically saying that you're advanced, like I'm an advanced developer, but I could help entry developers, and I can also learn from senior developers and architects. That's just kind of a basic line. You could use this in any industry, and what you're saying is you work well with others. I mean, you're basically saying, hey, I play nice. Because a lot of people will come in and they will be cocky. And if they don't get that across in a cover letter, they'll definitely get it across in an interview. But you kind of want to just throw a bone out there saying, hey, man, I'm easy to work with. You can even put examples, not naming specific people, but maybe about certain types of projects that you have worked on a team. And that'll help out too. And then what I did here in this last sentence, I know it seems kind of jokey here, but that's because I wanted to come up with a stupid jokey slogan that a company would use. But essentially, what you're doing in this last sentence here is you are saying in a positive way, not in a open-ended way. You're saying, when I join the company, along with the team you have assembled or along with the people you have working there, the great folks at whatever corporation, you can achieve, and then kind of throw in whatever their slogan is, but don't do it word for word. I know a lot of tech companies have this kind of silly, make the world a better place thing. So I put that in here, But what you want to do is just say that you're confident that along with your skills and the company utilizing those skills, they can achieve the goals that they've put out. And that's actually a general rule for the whole cover letter. You want to put in some language that's basically mirroring the type of language they use on their website. So if a company uses a lot of professional words and professional phrases, again, not technical and not jargon, but more professional and corporate sounding, make your cover letter more professional and corporate sounding. If you're applying to some startup that has a bunch of dudes sitting around in their pajamas coding, but they're making awesome stuff. But their website uses kind of friendly language and more like humorous language. Feel free to throw that in your cover letter. So you can see here I've put in the closing paragraph. I've also added some contact information up here. Again, this depends on the type of job you're applying for or the type. I mean, government jobs, you might not need to put that stuff. They're very formal. They might do everything by mail. Or just certain industries. But I've put in my closing statement here that I want to stress this point is a positive closing statement, not an open-ended closing statement. So you're saying, I look forward to speaking with you, and then you're reiterating the fact that you can benefit their corporation as whatever the position is, but you're reiterating you're restating which position you're applying for and the fact that you can help the corporation, the company, succeed in reaching its goals. And then here, I put the second line. This is optional. You could do something along these lines, but if it's more laid back, if it's a smaller company feel, you can put in this kind of feel free language. So feel free to contact me by phone or email, and that's why I put the contact information here up top. And then I've got the sincerely, the spaces, and the name. And typically, you want to print this out, sign the dang thing with a pen, blue or black pen, preferably black, and then you scan it and save it as a PDF. That's one part of cover letters that you kind of want to be formal and show that you put the effort out there. But that's basically how to write a cover letter. It is very basic. There's going to be a lot of different things online tell you to do it different ways. Whatever, mess around with it, find something you like, land on it. You can format things a little bit differently if you want. Find something you like, but it just has to cover a lot of the same type of information. Again, how to contact you, who you're contacting, the date you're sending it, high level of who you are, where you found the position, and then basically a good paragraph or two that explains your experience, maybe your passions about the same things the company's passionate about, and then how you think your skill set makes you the perfect candidate for the company, and you want to put in language about helping them succeed. And then again, at the bottom, a very positive statement about looking forward to your meeting, which makes it sound like it's going to happen. You don't want to put, I hope to hear from you soon. Don't put hope. Never put hope. That leaves the option open of your hopes being crushed, and you don't want that.